We all know that Michael Olise is hot on the list for Manchester United incomings this summer. A lot of people have been talking about it, Fabrizio Romano included. I'm going to tell you why United have to sell Marcus Rashford if Olise is to come into this squad. The England squad is going to be announced, well, the provisional one. Which United players are going to make the provisional squad? Interesting announcement coming shortly. A couple of hours before that comes out. Branthwaite replacement lined up for Everton. What's that saying about them getting ready for Branthwaite leaving possibly? Where is he going? We know United are interested in him as well. Player and Team of the Year. 3 United players are up for Premier League Team of the Year. I can't believe it, but we'll talk about that as well. And some cheaper transfer targets for Manchester United, including the old favourites, the ever-present when it comes to transfer windows for United. Another report coming out regarding Adrien Rabiot. Oh my God, no. Yes, here we go again. Oh, by the way, Mason Mount is fit for the final, which is interesting. We'll get some more information on that as it comes. But yeah, really interesting selection dilemma for Ten Hag going into the weekend's game with City and that FA Cup final. A lot of options and something that I think he's probably tripped himself up with, I feel anyway. We'll talk about that. So we've got plenty to get through today. Please give the video a like, guys. I'm Adam. This is Forever United TV. Everybody is welcome. Everyone's comments are welcome. No one's getting blocked. No one's getting timed out. Not unless you actively abuse me. But football, let's debate it. Let's argue it. Let's get our points across and get involved in the show, everyone. Okay. Where are we starting? Obviously, we're starting. It's my main headline. I just feel like Marcus Rashford has to go. We've talked about Marcus Rashford and why he has to go before. And now I think it's more important that we do let go of Marcus Rashford. Manchester United's finances and what they are. Not just that. I think the room in the squad and in that front line works better if Rashford goes. If Olise comes in. Now, I'm sort of moved away from Olise. I've moved away from the thought of him actually coming to Manchester United and us needing more important positions, but the noises keep coming out. You'll have noticed on this channel that I've not talked about it much, where other people have, and just gone straight in on the headlines. But I don't think personally United should be going for that type of player. Like, I love the guy, I think he's a fantastic player, but my priorities are elsewhere. I'm more concerned with the defence more than anything, and that central midfield, and obviously the centre forward position. But with all of the noises that keep on coming out, we're finding ourselves, we're having to take it seriously. Manchester United are genuinely in for Olise, and we have to look at the options and what we've got and how we make Olise work at United. Now, everyone straight away on that comment would go, what do you mean? How do we make Olise work? He comes straight in and everything's improved straight away. He's a miles better player than what we've got in that front line. He predominantly plays down the right-hand side. Now, we know that right-hand side has been taken up by a few different people recently because Ten Hag has found his balls, returned them to his sack and dropped Marcus Rashford. So we are looking at a situation where the right-hand side is flooded. Garnacho is not going to be dropped. He has been picked continuously more than any other player this season, consistently in Ten Hag. Now, that's just Ten Hag. Now, this whole conversation does a 180 if a new manager comes in. So let's just stick with what we've got right now. And I don't think there have been many managers wanting to take what has been a breakthrough season in Garnacho out of the side. Maybe you could drop him to the bench on the odd occasion, bring him in like Ten Hag has done with Højlund. But Garnacho, I think, is a mainstay in that front line for Manchester United. Whether it's a new manager or not, his work rate is phenomenal. And I think that is going to be one of the plus points that he's always going to have. And he's got an end product more often than not and is improving continuously. So Garnacho stays. Højlund is our only natural number 9. And if Olise does come in, are we going to have enough money to then go out and buy another centre forward? So there's another problem along that. And then you've got the issue that is Marcus Rashford. Whether Ten Hag stays or Ten Hag goes, if Rashford is not sold, there is a problem for Olise. And I think we'll scupper a deal because he will want guarantees of game time like most players do these days. Their agents are trying to negotiate into them contracts what works for their player, what guarantees their player are going to get. Because let's be honest, an agent now is going to look at the brand deals and everything else. You need game time and you need certain appearances to get certain deals off the pitch. So looking at that, that's what he's going to be going in for. And personally, I feel that Marcus Rashford has to be sold just for making room. Like the cash, yes, I think that is there, but alongside it, just the fact that we need to make space in that front line, because you've got Ahmad. I don't think we're going to get rid of Ahmad. I think he has done quite a bit over the last few weeks where we can all go, there is something there. He has definitely improved from when he first came in, and he's taken his chance while Rashford has been out. And the fact that Ten Hag has played him ahead of Rashford in the Brighton game says a lot for him as well. He wasn't great against Brighton. There was good bits, there was bad bits. Yes, he was very good against Newcastle, but a player that hasn't had the consistent game time, you're going to expect things like that to happen with Ahmad. But I don't think he's going anywhere. Or do we have to be realistic and say Rashford is going to stay and someone like Ahmad and Palestri are going to be sold to make the money and the space for Olise to come into this side, and it will be Rashford, Højlund and Olise? Personally, the gamble that Ineos have got here and the gamble that they are looking into with a transfer window is, do we stick or twist with Rashford of last season, 30 goals, in hoping that he can come back to form? And in that case, I think it will be under a new manager. And then getting rid of Marcus Rashford and bringing in Olise, whose numbers stand out above anyone else's for the games that he has played. That's what they've got to deal with. That's the gamble they've got. And it's a massive wage off the wage bill in Rashford, which will save us money again. And it will fund the Olise deal and the other areas of the park which we've got money for, which we need as well, i.e. the complete spine of the side. So that's how I'm looking at the Rashford situation and why he has to be sold. He has to be sold on if Olise is coming in, especially. Otherwise, you're going to be seeing certain players left out that are not going to be happy being left out. We don't know the situation with Marcus Rashford and his contract situation at United, how many games he plays. There is obviously something there. And if a new manager comes in, it might be a case that they think that Rashford works better in another position. They may want to play him on the right-hand side. They may want to play him down the middle. All leaves just buts and maybes, but I'm just looking at the Olise situation. You can look at Rashford and isolate it on his own, and if you think he needs to be in this team or if he needs to be let go by Manchester United, it's a debate on its own we've had many a times on this channel. But I'm just looking at this from Olise's side of things. I would be worried if I was Michael Olise coming into Manchester United, because if you're going to drop down that far, not have European football and the unknown, which it is at United, you cannot say it's not. It is the unknown right now at this football club. Whereas City, you know what's happening. Arsenal, you know what's happening. Liverpool, pretty similar. You know the structure. You know how they play. You know what's coming. Manchester United, it's a completely new era from top to bottom, staff-wise and structure-wise and philosophy-wise, you could say as well. And the player really is going to need guarantees in this. And this is why Olise, looking at United, as much as a United fan he is and the positives in that, and you would say that that is one reason why you would favour United for getting hold of Olise, but still, from his side, you don't want to look at players that have gone to United and careers completely capitulate. And I mean capitulate. You only have to look at the likes of Donny van der Beek when he came through. Like, couldn't find a position for him. Amrabat has been completely destroyed by the Premier League this season. High-profile player, yes, come in, not worked. There's many players that this has happened to. Antonet, we can say that he wasn't even good enough in the first place, but there's a prime example. Having a great season at Ajax doesn't relate to that happening exactly the same way at Manchester United. It never does. It's a massive step up. Is he concerned about the amount of game time? Is he concerned the amount of support he's going to get? Is he concerned that Manchester United just are in a position where maybe in a couple more years they're more appealing to go to because everyone knows where they stand and everyone knows what the vision is for the football club? Right now, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Everyone's starting from scratch this season coming, and I think it is a concern for a lot of players looking in at Manchester United. Personally, I think Rashford ticks the boxes to go. The place in the side, the issue that he is, the attitude, the fallout with the fans not trusting him, the money we could probably get for him, and the wages off the bill, brilliant, making way for Manchester United to easily afford someone like Olise and still invest into the squad. Do you bring Bruno Fernandes into that same argument? Some people will say, why are you just going in on Marcus Rashford? Well, to balance it out, you tell me. Which one of them two players would you sell? Because it can only be one. We need seniority in this squad to help the younger players that are coming through. Would it be Bruno? Would it be Rashford? United aren't going to sell both, if any of them. But when push comes to shove and a big decision needs to be made by Ineos this summer, you do need to make one player available to bring in that money if you are going to make an overhaul. I don't think Bruno being in Man United's side is as bad as Rashford being in Manchester United's side. That's my sole opinion. I'm coming right in on the chat before we move on. I want to finish up on the Olise Rashford debate and see what you guys think on this one. The way I look at it, Eric Ten Hag is people saying, but who is available? People saying sacking, but who's available and better. I think who would do worse? ? Would Southgate, Potter, De Zerbi, etc. be sure to finish worse than 8th? I look at that, James, and the names that you mentioned there would be 3 names that I've already said I don't want in the football club. It has to be a clear improvement on Ten Hag. Garnacho, Osimhen, Diallo. Osimhen's available. Like, we know that Osimhen is available as a striker, but we're talking an out-and-out number 9 there. Now, if you said to me, you're getting rid of the likes of Marcus Rashford, you're bringing in an Olise, you're bringing in an Osimhen, and then you're looking for the free transfers in midfield and defence. So we already know Adebayo from Fulham. Adrian Rabiot could be brought in midfield if you wanted a midfielder on the cheap. So there's a defender, there's a midfielder, there's a winger, and there's a centre forward. Now, United, I know this isn't FIFA, but realistically, we can afford that if we sell Marcus Rashford this summer. That's 4 first-team players in, you could say. Maybe not even first team, because you'd say Martinez and, Maguire, if Maguire's not sold. I think United do need to buy an out-and-out centre-back. A free one, great, squad player, not going straight into the first team out of a buyout. That's how I see it. I mean, some people may think differently, but the way you look at it is you look at balancing them finances for Manchester United. Obviously, we just have to adhere by PSR right now. And I do believe Manchester United are having to put on hold their transfer dealings because of the FA Cup final, because it changes with the FA Cup final. A win puts United into the Europa League and financial fair play comes into it. If we get beat by City, no European football means no financial fair play. It's just PSR, which is the Premier League's rules. So the finances for that may work in United's favour. So we're having to just wait it out, I think. So I think there'll be 2 separate plans. I think Manchester United in Europe, they definitely have to start looking at selling one of the other big players. Now, we know we've got money in Sancho, just about. We've got money in Casemiro. And I think one of the other big players, I feel, needs to go. That, for me, would be Marcus Rashford. No one will be able to afford Rashford's wages, though, let alone his demands from a new club. Don't get me wrong, I want Rashford to be sold, but no one is going to afford him. And PSG can afford him, mate. PSG can easily afford Marcus Rashford. That is a guarantee, and that deal is not dead. I've been told that deal is not dead, and they are still looking into Rashford. So anything can happen. Like, the story with Rashford will become very, very clear, like every other story, once the transfer window opens, or in fact, once the FA Cup final is finished. As soon as that, I think a lot of things are going to come to light. We need a plan for all the players we sign. We need a structure and a style of play before all the players are signed. That's a definite. We can get Mount on a free now. Oh, wait, we already signed him. It's a good point. We could have waited it out. We could have, but I think Chelsea would have sold him elsewhere because they wanted the money anyway. But still, that's a different argument altogether. I would prefer we only buy players with a decent injury record. Then again, anything can happen. Anything can happen to a player, Jonathan, and an injury can just pop up out of nowhere. Martinez looked great for 3/4 of a season. He was fantastic at Ajax, and now he's one of our most injury-prone players. There's no guarantees in football. There's no guarantees that every player is going to get through a season without being injured. Unfortunately, there is no perfect football world. We're going to have to take a hit somewhere. Yes, we can look into the history of the players, properly recruit, and definitely look at it and go, right, okay, there has been issues there before with that player. We need to be careful with that. I think Jonathan's alluding to the injury record players because Michael Olise, who we are talking about, is very injury prone on the old hammy side of thing. The hamstring has gone a few times this season for Olise. So are we looking at spending that amount of money on a player that probably will only play 3/4 if we're going off previous seasons of the season? Are we going to be able to rotate him in? We have got cover for Olise if we do bring him in, if Marcus Rashford isn't sold. But then that brings us back to the argument of that's most of our budget gone on a player in a position we've already got plenty of cover for. So when people are talking about, and like Romano saying that Olise is definitely on the books for Manchester United, all parties are understood to be happy with the deal and it is going to push forward. Where the hell is the rest of the money coming from? If you're budgeting for 150 million this summer, I mean, that's pushing it apparently. We've heard that 100 million is the target for Manchester United spend this summer. But even if you said 150 million, you're pretty much taking over a third of that when signing Olise in a position that, let's not kid ourselves, we're not short. Yeah, the quality might not be as good, but we're not exactly struggling in that area. We've got Ahmad there. You could bring back Palestra. Obviously, Anthony's still there. I don't know if we're going to be able to get rid of him. We have many options there for that role. So I'm not particularly worried about it. I'd love Olise to be part of Manchester United's side. I think he is a quality player. But I think Rashford has to be sold. And I'll keep saying it. He has to be sold. If United can make something happen there, it's a win-win, I feel, for everybody. It takes the pressure away from Marcus Rashford. It takes the issue of wages away. It takes the fans' situation with Rashford away. It takes the whole circus that Marcus Rashford is out of the equation. And it gives us options in the transfer window. Massive, massive options. And that would be what a lot of people would say is a complete overhaul and a restructure of that playing squad. That's what that would be. That is a statement and a half from Ineos and Manchester United. So that's how I look at, and that's why I feel Marcus Rashford needs to be sold. And I think Manchester United will be looking at getting rid of Marcus Rashford for the right price. If someone came in with 70 million, I think he's gone. United wouldn't even blink an eye, I don't think. That is too much money to turn down for a player that even Ten Hag is now not playing consistently in his side. There are clear, obvious issues. I actually think if Ten Hag stays, that it hampers Marcus Rashford even more. Now, that's changed, and my opinion on that has changed. So you may think, like, what are you talking about? You didn't say this the other week, Adam. No, I'm just looking at what Ten Hag has done recently, and I feel like he has seen the situation with Marcus Rashford. He's seen it deteriorate, and I think the relationship has gone. Personally, he'll talk him up and say, but early on in the season he was saying we have to play Marcus Rashford, he has to play and be played back into form. Now he's been available, he's not playing him. He's kept him on the bench. Now he will say he's covering him and just introducing him back because of injury. This has never happened before with Marcus Rashford. His injuries wasn't that serious, and I think if he's fit, he plays him every single time. And the fact that he's not in the last two games says a lot. Now, that could be blown out completely come the final. Marcus Rashford could be in the side. And then we're thinking it's Ten Hag and his love affair with Marcus Rashford all over again. So, it does come down to the manager, I think. Will other managers coming into Manchester United have the opportunity to say to Ineos, look, I want to work with Rashford. I've seen them 30-odd goals last season. I've seen the goals he's scored. I've seen how many he's got for United and what he can do. I want to work with him. And that would lead into the argument that a lot of fans have got regarding Marcus Rashford and why we need to keep Ten Hag because he will push Rashford out. It may work the other way. Are Ineos going to take control? This is their gamble, and why I've titled this video and why I wanted to talk in this video about their transfer gamble, because they are taking control of Manchester United's football matters, and football matters means the players coming in, the players going out, the manager having less say and they're having the major say. That's what's important. If they set off this summer in that way and in that vein, then Manchester United, I feel, will move forward. A manager coming in, even if Ten Hag leaves, needs to know straight away that Marcus Rashford, you haven't got any say whatsoever. Like when you go on pre-season tour, you're going to know what players you're going to be working with. If there's deals that haven't been done or completed and then players are still there with you, then you need to prepare for that player not being there come the start of the season. And these are the options we are looking at. Go and train, go and coach, go and get the best out of these players and play the type of football that we want Manchester United to play. That's what has to happen with Ineos going forward. Otherwise, it's pointless them coming in. What is the point in having a structure if they're not going to do anything? They need to be in control of all that above the manager and then let the manager do his thing with the players and get the most out of them. Adam, I think Ineos are smart enough to know which plan is going to be utilised. The one without financial fair play. As in we're going to get beat by Manchester City, mate. Jumping the gun, but I can feel your pain. Over 100 likes in the bag. Thank you, guys. Keep them likes coming in. Keep sharing the video. And please do share. Please do subscribe if you are tuning in for the first time. This is Forever United TV. I'm Adam. We have just talked about why Marcus Rashford needs to be sold, especially if we are going to bring in someone like Michael Olise. That's the point I wanted to make first of all there. I agree that Rashford is a good player, but he is too selfish, says Kevin. Rashford and Bruno need to be sold, says George as well. We only have 4 players. I definitely keep. Højlund is 1. Sell the rest. And there you go. There you go with Marcus Rashford in that situation. It could just be taken out of his hands anyway. We said the debate with Rashford is one, like, do you want to keep him or not after what he's done this season? But I think the issue could be forced through the old transfer matter and the transfer plan for Ineos. So, very, very interesting. Good news for Manchester United is that the England squad is going to be announced. I think 2 o'clock today, as you can see going across the bottom of your screen there. Luke Shaw is going to be in the preliminary squad, as well as Kobbie Mainoo. Whether Kobbie makes it to the cut-down squad and the one that's actually leaving for Germany, I don't know, because there's a lot of good players in that England squad. So, good news that Kobbie is even in there in the conversation. It's fantastic for a youth academy player at that age to be even considered going to the Euros. Brilliant. It'd be very interesting to see if Marcus Rashford makes this squad. I think he will, because I think Southgate's a bottle job when it comes to players. But you only have to look at the forwards that England are dealing with. And we've been told that Ivan Toney is in the preliminary squad. That has been announced. I think it was Ornstein who said it before as well. So Henderson's out. Toney is in. If he picks Watkins, then I think Rashford's not going to make it. I don't know how many, because you cannot ignore. It depends how you want to call it. It's like, in terms of the forwards, you could say what Palmer could be in midfield, or he could, and Foden could be a midfielder and not part of the forward line. Personally, I hate Grealish, but I think he's probably more impactful than what Rashford would be in the Euros. Cole Palmer is ahead of him. Watkins, Gerard Bowen, Anthony Gordon. Tony's definitely going. He's ahead of him. Kane and Watkins goals. There's a lot of forwards there. An awful lot of forwards. And Marcus Rashford is struggling right now. I would personally be taking more midfielders if I was at Southgate. I think we need to be covered in that area. Now, I know that you could say that Foden can drop in as a midfielder. Bellingham plays high forward as well. So it's sort of like, in terms of like when it goes through the England squad announcement, you've got the defenders, the midfielders and the forwards. I think some of the midfielders and forwards can interchange into each group. So when a squad is announced, I think they'll make room for Rashford. That's my honest opinion. I think they will. And that is still the preliminary squad, though. So it's going to come down to what Rashford's attitude is within the squad while he's there on England camp. So going to be really interesting. But Luke Shaw, with his injuries, I thought that was a bit of a swerve ball. Would you commit to putting a player into a squad when there's other players available? And I'm not like slagging Luke Shaw off here, but you have to be really. Is he fit enough? Is he fit enough? Like, he's not the same player he was, Luke Shaw. He's missed what now? We're going on 3 months. The last 3 months, not kicked a ball in anger. So Luke Shaw, I think he's definitely one that's up for grabs, his position. If he's in the preliminary squad, that's great for him. But personally, I feel like he's under threat, as well as Rashford. So 2 Manchester United players. I think Harry Maguire is a stonewall. I think he's definitely going. Like, he ultimately will always be picked by Southgate. Like Maguire was being picked when he was fit and not playing. The only reason Maguire wouldn't be going to the Euros is because he's injured. But his injury has only just come about, and he is back in training and will be available for Gareth Southgate. So Maguire is definitely going to go. I think the other 3 United players, honestly, I'm not confident any of them will make it for their own reasons. Rashford, as we talked about, Mainoo because of the players in front of him, and obviously Luke Shaw for the injury side of things. it's looking pretty disastrous for England internationals for the United side of things. But I do think, personally, Rashford will be... I think they'll find a spot for Rashford in the England squad. I do. Whether you think it's right or not, I think they will find space for him. Shaw will be fit. He's only got a Martial pull strain, pull injury. I don't know what that means, but he's been missing for 3 months. It's not so much whether he's recovered from that. It's because he isn't match sharp. Like, can you risk that? A match sharpness takes a few games. Are you willing to give Luke Shaw's first competitive games in an international tournament that you have to win? I don't know. I don't know is the answer to that one. Jay's in the house. Hello, Jay. Has Shaw made a miracle recovery and weight loss to make the England squad? When the Euros come around, everyone's fit and available, aren't they? That's the thing. But yeah, I didn't want to go too much onto that one. That news will come later on. England squad-wise, let Gareth Southgate do what he wants with that. He knows best for England, as we know too well, and he will pick who he wants to pick. But Ivan Toney being in is interesting. I think that's a good choice, personally. I do, because he did play well for England in his last game. He does hold the ball up well, and I think he is a different option going forward. But back on to United. I wanted to move forward with other news. Casemiro didn't make the Brazil squad again, by the way, for Copa America. Very interesting there. I think, again, it's proof that Manchester United have derailed another season of a player. I think, again, the demise of some players at Manchester United and it affecting their international careers as well is all too clear. It really is. It's not good right now. It's not good being a United player and hoping for international duty. But Southgate don't play Rashford, remember, World Cup and final. No, but he keeps him in the squad for the bench because he can be that hit and hope moment. He has got that worldy moment, isn't he, Rashford? We know that. He scores brilliant goals. But I don't think he's anywhere. He's never going to start for England in any of the games in this tournament, even if he goes. I think we can say that safely. Can't wait for all these players to get 25% pay cut. Have that, you bar stool. Get in there, comeuppance, you could say, on that one, Christopher. I think you're happy about that one. Solanke's an option, says Bacon Butter. I like Solanke. I think he's had an amazing season. Absolutely brilliant season. The forgotten man from Liverpool as such, but he's absolutely tore United apart twice this season. And I'm not saying you should judge a player and bring him in just because how he plays against us, but still, he has had a great season for Bournemouth, and Bournemouth have had a fantastic season. That's that one at the bottom there. Tommy says, I'm glad Adam left that channel. It wasn't the right environment for him. Kaz, I was talking to Kaz, but yeah, no, thanks for that, buddy. What's the story with Malacia? Will we see a miracle return, or will he be moved on, do you think? I don't think Malacia's going anywhere. I don't think anyone's going to risk buying a player that's missed a season through injury. I think, if anything, it's down to United to get him fit again, give him the right support and get him back into that matchday squad. He's not a first-team starter, we know this, but he is a good squad player. For the price that we paid for him, I don't think anyone's as concerned about it, because that was unfortunate what happened with the mistreatment within the first operation he had and then prolonging his injury even more. I felt really sorry for him. He is back in training on his own, that is, and hopefully he makes a fast recovery and he can be part of next season and be ready for next season. So it'll be interesting to see if he makes pre-season. I think that's the next target that we have to say for Malacia. But yeah, into other news. Manchester United looking into the transfer market again. There is news that Davinson Sanchez is being touted by Everton as a replacement for Jared Branthwaite. Now, interesting again there, because Manchester United have been linked with Branthwaite, but the price that we're willing to pay and everyone else is willing to pay then doesn't fall in line with what I started the show with, because Olise, 60 million, Branthwaite, 50 million, 110 gone. You've got about 40 left max from the money that is supposedly available for United without sales. So then you're looking to try and fill that midfield role. So you could bring a Branthwaite in, an Olise in, then you could bring an Adebayo in from Fulham for free. So there's two centre-backs, Premier League proven centre-backs, and the Premier League proven forward attacking right-sided player in Olise. You've got 40 million left. Where do you spend that? Like I said before, We can all play FIFA, we can all play Championship Manager and think who we can do and what is out there. The obvious ones are there, like Rabiot at his age. I don't think United would pay his wages, but again, that's a midfielder for nothing. I personally, it's there because it's in the news and it's been reported United are looking at him. I don't believe it. I'm going to make that clear now. I don't think it's the profile of player Ineos are looking for, and I think they will look to spend money in the midfield department again and bring someone else in. Branthwaite could be our next Maguire, says Ramo. Branthwaite is a great prospect, but he can't be worth north of 70 million for him. I believe Mount is miraculously fit for the FA Cup final, says Stefanette. We were talking about Mount at the back end of the show in terms of players that are coming back. Rumoured Mount is coming back, yes. Adam, United are supposed to be looking at the Madrid keeper. Do you know anything about it? There's been a couple of rumours, but Andre Onana's in Team of the Year or nominated for the Premier League Team of the Year. I'm missing something with that one. I can't see United investing in any goalkeeper. I think I can't remember which club it was. It maybe Trabzonspor has thrown out possibilities of them looking into buying there. So stories of him going to Turkey. I think Galatasaray were rumoured to be looking as well. Fenerbahce, I think, at one point, and now Trabzonspor as well. I don't think if United keep Bayindir, then we're definitely not going to be looking to invest in a goalkeeper to answer that question. If Olise has hamstring issues, then for that price, I would leave it and go for Solanke. Do you agree, Adam? If you're telling me now or asking me the question, do I go and spend a big chunk of our money on a centre forward or a winger? It's the centre forward all day long. Whether it's Solanke, I wouldn't mind him. I do think there are better options out there than Solanke, though. If we are going to spend a chunk of our change on a centre forward, then I would love it to be someone like Osimhen. Just like that. He reminds me so much of Andy Cole in the way he plays. Proper number 9. Plays nowhere else. I know where he's going to go on the pitch. And you know what? He is a great, I'm not going to say make weight for Højlund, but both similar goal output this season, by the way. So, with everything going on at Napoli and all of the unrest behind the scenes and the fallout with Osimhen and the club, I think that's hampered his season. But everyone just seems to be talking about Osimhen from the season before and the fantastic season that they had with the Champions League and Serie A and everything like that. But no one's really looked at him this season. He's sort of like the forgotten man. Not forgotten, but forgotten to be looked into. And his goal output is very similar to what Højlund's is this season. So it's not been a fantastic second season for him. Still okay and definitely worth a punt. But I think United would look at Osimhen simply because of that situation and take advantage of that. If you're asking me, Osimhen or Solanke, it's a no-brainer. It is Osimhen. I think he's a different type of forward than what we've got. And he definitely adds to our attacking prowess. I think he would be a great signing for Manchester United. But again, no Champions League, no European football. What are Ineos going to do? Does it have to be a commitment to someone like Solanke then, who isn't going to be as fussed really about going to Manchester United and not playing Champions League football or any European football? And it goes back to the argument again at the start of the show, like if United beat City miraculously, all of this talk changes completely. The finances change, the player profiles change in terms of who we can go for because we've got European football. And let's not forget, the Europa League will be, I think, an easier avenue for us next season into the Champions League. Because you look at the teams above us, if Chelsea go out and buy a striker, they're ahead of us in their development. If they go out and get an Osimhen, then Manchester United are struggling to keep up because Chelsea have got a very, very good squad. You can laugh at him and joke about everything that's happened with Chelsea this season, but if they go out, and they will go out and buy a quality striker, they're a different animal altogether. We've seen what they've created. We've seen how close they've run City a few times and been close in games. Yes, they've got that capitulation in them still, but it's a young team. You go and buy a striker for them, everything changes. So they're not staying still. Obviously, you've got the top three, which we have to try and catch, which we're miles away from. Maybe slot is an issue for Liverpool. We don't know if it's going to have the same effect as what it did for United when we lost Sir Alex Ferguson. If Liverpool are going to drop off, He plays a very similar style of football to Jurgen Klopp, so Liverpool are probably not going to go away. So you could say the top three is already taken, and then we're fighting against the likes of Chelsea, like we just said. If Newcastle can invest, they're ahead of us right now. And let's not forget Aston Villa with the millions that they've got and the opportunity to spend that money now because they've got Champions League money coming in to balance their financial fair play books. So I think Europa League definitely opens up an avenue for United to qualify for the Champions League next season and has to be taken seriously next season as an avenue, like I said, into the Champions League because top four is no given. I expect United to be competing for it, and I would not be happy if we didn't make it, no. But I am in the understanding, I know that if United do start rinsing these senior players from our team, it is going to take a little bit of time to work this team and mould this new team together at United. Because the names we're hearing of, and there's two other names here in the fullback at Wolves in Nuri, and then another defender in Brestos as well from, I can't remember the club he was at, bleeding hell now, I forgot which team he was at, I was looking at it earlier on, but cheaper options around the £20 million mark. These are not marquee signing players, these are not well-known players that United are looking at, and as good as that is, it's still going to take a lot of time to get a style of play together. It's like making a completely new team. That's what it is. It's like making a brand new fresh start, a new football club. Say you're at the lower leagues and you're bringing all the players together. Hardly anyone's played together before. Because we're talking about half of Manchester United's first team that needs replacing. Never mind squad players. First team. Like walking out on that pitch and playing for Manchester United. They're the type of players we're talking about right now. We need replacements for them. And then we can look at some of the youth players maybe to come in and fill the gaps in the squad. If what is said to be happening, then we are looking at a lot of change and a lot of players leaving Manchester United with replacements we don't know are good enough. Let me just see. Marcus Rashford has not been included in the provisional squad for England. David Ornstein has just dropped the bomb, people. Kaz has just sent me that. A few of you in the chat are just picking up on that now. That is breaking news. Marcus Rashford gets his comeuppance for a very inconsistent and petulant season. He's not in the preliminary squad for England's Euro selection. Wow. That says a lot. That tells you everything. And do you know what? In a way, Manchester United now probably looking at that and going, are we at fault for this? Part of this? It's crazy. Just looking at some other news right now. The early indications are Rashford. Just reading through some of the stories there. Manchester United are now assessing the credentials of Ipswich Town manager Kieran McKenna. I mean, do you know what? If McKenna's a long shot, and it's never going to happen for me. I would be gobsmacked. But the only way that McKenna works is if you've got a young squad of not big ego players. Back to the Rashford stuff, though, because if Southgate's seeing it, that tells you everything you need to know about Manchester United's season and Marcus Rashford as a player. It really does. And do you know what? I don't like to say it this way because it's always disappointing when players don't make the squad. And he is still a United player, but he deserved that. He's deserved that this season. The petulance, the mopsing around, the attitude, everything about Marcus Rashford this season. And for him to not be in that England squad, that's big, big news. But let's be honest, is anyone surprised? Is anyone surprised that this is happening? No one isn't. No one's surprised. There's so much going on, right? There's so many moving parts with this summer. It's hard to keep up with everything. There is news regarding Pochettino and stuff like that, like I've got in the tweet just at the bottom of the screen there as well. We're hearing about McKenna being looked at. I think he's perfect for Brighton after De Zerbi's gone. Where is De Zerbi going? There is rumours that De Zerbi is actually already lined up and he signed a confidentiality agreement not to out what he's actually going. to happen, but he has already been taken by a big club according to reports, which is crazy. Guys, get your comments in on Rashford right now being dropped from the England squad. Rashford's PR team are going nuts over this. Going to be awkward for Rashford when Southgate becomes United manager, says Mark. I said 6 months ago his England place has gone. No shock there. His United place is also gone. No longer a first team choice to many better players. Marcus Rashford, one of the highest paid players in the Premier League, is now not a first team Man United player and not a first team England squad member. Not even first team I'm talking about there. Like, he's not starting games for England. He's not in the squad. And he is one of the highest paid players. This is a man that's let his ego and this whole circus around him completely take over his career. He needs to go and sit himself down somewhere and have a hard look at himself and decide where he wants to go in his football career, because it's falling apart. And it's all because of the people that he's surrounded himself with. And he may think and may love them people that are around him, but for the sake of his football career, Marcus Rashford right now, he's going down the Swanee. His career is going. It's failing big time. And he could fall off a cliff right now, Marcus Rashford. We don't know what this news. This will be the first time in how many tournaments? Definitely under Southgate that Marcus Rashford has not been picked. Where is his head at right now? Where is he going? He definitely does not start for Manchester United at weekend. And if Ten Hag goes down that soft soap sentimentality route and puts him in just to make him feel better, then he deserves to be sacked right there on the spot. He isn't playing well enough. The England manager's picked up on it. Ten Hag is slowly picking up on it. Every Man United fan can see it. Opposition fans are not falling for the hype anymore of Marcus Rashford. He has let himself go, and his career is going to suffer for it. It is pretty big news, that. It is pretty big breaking news, that, for Marcus Rashford. It's sad that the player's career has gone this way, but honestly, I don't think any Manchester United fan, no football fan, no England fan would be surprised with that. In truth, Southgate couldn't possibly select him. That was from Graham. Me and Graham were talking about this on Sunday at the Brighton game with the players ahead of him, and I just rolled out the names of players. I think someone else said months ago in the chat then, that Rashford's England career, I said this was a wake-up call he needed in that last international break. The wake-up call he needed was Anthony Gordon walking out onto that pitch ahead of him, and then Gareth Southgate coming out in the second game and saying we wanted to see more of Anthony Gordon. That was alarm bells ringing right there. If you're a professional footballer and the manager says I want to see more of Anthony Gordon ahead of you, then you have to automatically be thinking in your head, I'm not doing enough. The only way you move forward in life is if you look at what you can do to change the situation that you're in. You can be miserable, you can look back, you can blame other people, you can start bitching and moaning about what's not gone your way, or you can get on with it and just make things happen. Marcus Rashford has not been prepared to do that, and he has been found out. And now his career is suffering. Rashford not in the preliminary squad. What has that done to Rashford's transfer value? Again, in terms of how it's affecting United, clubs will be looking at this right now. Are they going to look at Rashford of last season and go to United and go, well, he's not even in the international squad anymore. This is how bad he is. Are United now going to get cheaper bids for Marcus Rashford? Is that what's going to start happening now with all of this? It's really, really interesting now how the dynamic of Rashford in this summer starts to unfold. It will be absolutely crazy for Ten Hag to start Marcus Rashford in the final and put his faith in him. One more throw of the dice. It is a huge gamble. Would you gamble on Marcus Rashford starting for Manchester United in the hope that this has absolutely pissed him off royally and he wants to go out on that pitch and prove to the world that he is good enough? He is good enough to compete against the likes of Manchester City's defence. Does he want to go out there and prove everyone wrong, including the England manager? I think it would be absolute craziness from Ten Hag to start him in the final now. And you know what? Not to kick a man while he's down or anything, but this is what I was going mad at early on in the year when Marcus Rashford did what he did, and the arrogance of the man when he came out in that interview. He's just self-absorbed. Wow. But people are seeing through it. People are seeing through it. Breaking news, Marcus Rashford is not in the England training squad. No, we know that, Michael. We are just talking about that now. I can see a lot of you jumping onto this now in the chat. Rashford is a £40 million player. Rashford's price just went down to 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps, says Mark. It did hit his value, didn't it? Like, the more you think about it, like what Jonathan said there, what Mark said there in the chat, Marcus Rashford's value has definitely been hit by this news from being dropped out of the England squad today. It has to, because if you're a full-blown international at that age and you're constantly being picked, it does add value. United now have a lot of thinking to do. They have an awful lot of thinking to do with Marcus Rashford and where they go with it. Because they will look at this situation as well and they will be going, look, oh Jesus, that just completely throws everything out of the window in terms of our plans. Like, is this going to affect his price? What mood is he going to be in now? How's this going to affect him? Luckily for us, there's only one more game to go, and we're not going to get that sulking Marcus Rashford on the pitch who thinks that everyone is against him. That's the only positive we've got in this announcement, that it is at the end of the season. Rashford hasn't got the testicular fortitude to play his way out of this, says Jay. Only Jay would come up with one like that. I don't want Olise really because his injuries, but I have him over Rashford any day of the week. I did a poll for anyone who's catching up with the show. Get your comments in on Marcus Rashford being dropped. Olise or Rashford? Who would you rather? The gamble of hoping Marcus Rashford can come back and have the season he did last season, knowing that he's not as injury prone as Olise, or Olise with his injuries, but the guarantee that when you get that player on the pitch, you get a player on the pitch. 87% of you would rather Olise in the United team next season than Marcus Rashford. Speaks volumes. Absolute volumes. Let's go through a few more of your comments. Everyone is against him because he's shite. It's not so much people against him. It's people being real. It's people actually looking at the form of Marcus Rashford and not wanting him to be there ahead of a Cole Palmer, Jarrod Bowen, and Anthony Gordon. All of who have had great, fantastic, brilliant seasons. And you could add Tony to the equation for the front line, Watkins, Harry Kane. Breakthrough seasons again. Not breakthrough, but outstanding seasons again. Tony you could argue against, but he's come back and he's done okay. And he has impressed in the games. What would Tony's season been like if he wasn't banned? That's what you've got to look at as well. And it's all if, buts and maybes, I know. But the way he came back and has pretty much got near enough the same amount of Premier League goals as Marcus Rashford already speaks volumes as well for how poor Marcus Rashford has been. He does, because I think he's played... he's played more games than what Rasmus Højlund has, I think. Rasmus's conversion rate is night and day compared to Rashford's as well. But it is a sad time for Manchester United. No matter how you look at it, if you're happy that Rashford's getting his punishment that he deserves, if you're happy that the way he's treated the fans or whatever, and the sulking around on the pitch, and now he's getting his comeuppance or anything like that, when you look at it in the bigger picture, you've still got to say this is a sad day for Manchester United, because we are no longer the powerhouse that we was. Our England and our young players are no longer the players that fill a good chunk of that England team. I mean, looking at that first game of the Euros against Serbia on, the 16th of June? So near enough, about 4 weeks away now from the first game in the Euros against Serbia. And what have we got? Like a guaranteed, possibly one Man United player. I mean, the under-21s that just went past that we won last summer, Manchester United didn't have one player in that squad. And now we're going into the Euros and the senior England squad. What have we got? We're scraping Harry Maguire. Kobbie Mainoo, I think he deserves to be in it, but he might have come too soon. And Shaw and his injury record. It is, no matter which way you look at it, it is a very, very sad day for Manchester United that we are the forgotten force when it comes for our English players. So you go back 3 years, You could have had a front three of Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood starting for England. Just look at where we're at. Look at where this club is at. And then the magnitude of the task in front of Ineos is ridiculous. It really is. There's a lot of work that needs doing. And I feel like it's why the start of the show, when we're talking about selling Rashford to fund Olise, they really do need to have their pieces set up on that board, ready to go. It is a tough old summer coming ahead for Manchester United, to say the least. A few more comments just before we finish up. Boxing Straight Talk. Rashford has only had statistically 2 bad seasons, 2021 and this season. For a left winger, his stats are good compared to any other winger in the Prem currently. His own stats, but has he contributed to United winning enough, is what I'm saying. Like individual stats, some people have been slagging Rasmus Højlund off. It depends which way you want to run with it. It's like, what narrative do you want to run in terms of the stat side of things? It's like, there was a stat I did last night where the first seasons for Jesus, Isaac, Nunes, I think it was Watkins as well, or one other striker. Rasmus Højlund has had better first seasons than all of them players stat-wise. And a lot of people think that Rasmus Højlund isn't good enough. Crazy world, isn't it, football? But that's why we love it and why we love talking about it. Guys, can everyone please give the video a like? And I think if we do, we'll get over that 200 mark. We're going to finish up there. It is big news that Rashford is out of the squad. Should we just sell him just to fund what is happening? Should we take the Rashford situation out of the way? Is it better for him to be out of this squad and somewhere else, personally, having a new challenge? I don't think his career is going to go forward being at Manchester United. That's my own personal opinion. Get yours in, get your comments in when the video is done. Download our SofaScore app for all the best football content apps. Stats, odds, ratings, transfer news, everything. SofaScore. Scan the QR code or drop into the description. The link is there at the top, guys. Do go and click on that. It is completely free. The United Couple episode 5 podcast is out. Link in the description, guys. Go watch it. Me and Kaz going through everything that was the Brighton weekend and the build-up and everything to it, all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Go and have a watch of that. Optimally Me there, you can see on the screen on the left-hand side is our health partners. Go and check them out as well. Scan that QR code for your discount off me on all the tests that you can do. Bring the doctors to your home and more. Go check them out, guys. Brilliant program that they're running there. And that's us done. Crazy one. Yep. Transfer silly season has just been ramped up even more. God, we've got a lot to talk about coming over these next few months, guys, haven't we? But for now, that is it. The main headlines from what is happening right now is that Rashford is out of the England squad. He has been that bad. Even Southgate has dropped him. Mainu might be in. Shaw will be in. Maguire will be in. Full announcement coming at 2 o'clock, but that's it for now, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I'm out of here. I will see you all later on at 6:30 unless something else breaks. I will bring